everybody. Welcome to the Fill Up Episode 3. Looks like we've got the same usual suspects minus one here on the panel tonight. So you've got myself, Calvin, you've got Boomer, and you've got Jacob and Gael. Guys, you want to say hello to everybody?
Hello, everybody.
Hey, how's it going?
Look at
Hello
that.
to my adoring fans.
Boomer following instructions, Gael taking creative license. I love it. We're off to a flying start, boys. So to kick things off, we've got a couple more days till the Octane series kicks off, and the Ignite series is still running strong here 2 weeks in. Speaking of which, Boomer, I'm going to go and kick it over to you. We'll do a quick recap of Rockingham from this past Monday.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, so we had a full field of 43 cars. Had 36 cars finishing the race. A little bit of chaos here and there. Ended up with, I believe, it was 11 cautions for 44 laps. So definitely some craziness at short track. Tempers flaring over, at times. But it was, for the most part, I think there was a lot of great racing, especially at the front of the pack. I mean, honestly, even through the mid pack and all the way back. I know I got caught a couple laps down at one point trying to pit early on a fuel cycle and had a caution come out at a fairly unfortunate time, but it seemed like it was a pretty good race. We had Matthew Thunhorst on the pole. Ethan Lane ended up winning the race, made a move in turn number 3 and 4 to take the win over Thomas Bressy after Ethan actually led most of the laps in the race. Brad Patton had the Hard Charger Award, and I think he even finished outside of the top 10. So he was up 30 spots, so he moved quite a bit up the field. And yeah, I guess Jacob and Gael, maybe starting with Jacob, do you want to go through how your races went? I know Jacob, you had a pretty solid finish in P4 there.
I did. It was eventful. No, I mean I thought that race kind of went about how I expected it to go. We had a fair amount of cautions, but I thought we also had some really nice green flag runs. For that many people at Rockingham, to kind of get a 50, 60 lap run in, I thought was fairly impressive. As far as my race went, I like running Rockingham because of the challenge of it. But had a little incident at the early point of the race. Kind of was able to recover from that, stay out of trouble, and then really at the end, when the pit strategy kind of kicked in a little bit, some guys pitted. So chose to stay out with Stroll and Ackley and Bressy, I believe it was. Oh yeah, it had to be Bressy. So that kind of worked out for me. I don't know if it worked out for everybody the same way, but I was able to kind of. I felt like I had fresher tires than Thunhorst and Stroll because I was able to be a lot faster than them than I had really been all night. I didn't think I really had anything for them earlier in the race. I just wasn't up that far, so kind of be able to have that last run there to kind of when Ethan passed Stroll, I just kind of dove it in there with him and it stuck. And I think Stroll might have even thought I was on fresh tires, but I wasn't. Um, Almost had third, would have been nice, but obviously I wasn't gonna bump and run Thun Horse there for third. It's not really worth it at that point. So, but I had a
Sure.
fun race. I thought it was a good, nice event. Um, Especially going, like I said, going to a tighter track with a full field sometimes can be um, painstaking with so
Yeah.
many crash laps. So it was
Yeah.
nice. Like I said, in general, obviously we had a couple issues that were kind of regrettable, but overall, I thought most everyone did a nice job last Monday,
Yeah.
racing at Rockingham for sure.
Yeah. Gail, I know you and I spent a decent amount of time in and around each other and finished the race pretty close to each other. But I was up and down all over the place, so I wonder how your night started and finished.
It was kind of similar. I definitely started towards the back. Just I never could get that hot lap that was needed. So yeah, I rolled off in 34th, and I just yeah. I mean, I was kind of picking them up little by little. Like I felt like I was taking really good care of my tires. I was kind of hanging out with some of the PMS guys, some of the Steel Horse guys as well. So like sometimes we can kind of compare like, okay, what's the tire wear looking like, and every time my tire wear was looking really good, I was like, all right, maybe I need to push a little harder even. And then there's one point in the race where I was like, you know what? I was watching everybody watching. I was like, you know, what? Everybody's pitting. I want to stay. I'm just going to lead a lap, and then just because, hey, a bonus point's a bonus point. And then I hop back in, and of course that was the caution that was the right before the really long green flag run. And so yeah, I restarted somewhere in the 30s, and I actually worked my way back up into the top 20 over the course of that run. I think you were one of the ones poking at me during that run because actually, yeah, I had just whatever it was, like something clicked that run. Felt really good. Like I didn't feel like I was burning my stuff up, and I made really good progress there. And then yeah, at that point, like I just kind of just try to hold what I could, and I definitely wasn't a short run car. Like I couldn't hustle the car around like those fast guys were. I even mentioned at the end of the race, I was thanking Nick Cohan for not running me over at the end because last lap I'm sending it into turn number 1. I see him behind me, and I mean I saw he almost had to almost wreck himself not to run over me. So yeah, he was definitely like those guys could just hustle the cars way better than I could. So I mean, I did what I could. I mean, top 15. Honestly, I'm really happy with how that turned out. And yeah, like you said, I mean, even with the pit strategy that didn't work out for you, knocked you down a lap or two, then you recovering, and then yeah, we're hanging out a good chunk again there too. And man, the last like quarter or so of the race was just so damn intense. And I'm trying to remember. I don't remember the name offhand. I say I'm sure he'll remember, obviously, but I know I kind of botched an entry into turn number 3, got a little wide, and kind of caught the wall. The guy right behind me got stuck in there and lost a handful of spots. So definitely apologies there. And then yeah, just the chaos at the very very end. I had some contact. I believe it was with the. So it was unfortunate. One of the Steel Horse guys, the guys I was hanging out with. I don't think it was Adam. I think it was Justin. Yeah, it was Justin I got contact with. And that's the last thing you want to do is to kind of have contact with one of the buddies that you're racing with. So yeah, sorry, Justin. I swear I didn't try to get into you there, but I had fun. I mean, like I said, there was 11 cautions, but again, 43 cars at Rockingham, second race with everybody together. Honestly, I still think it was a pretty good result, or pretty good result for the league, I guess you'd say, but just a good race overall.
Yeah.
And then yeah, just a couple surprises with some of the big hitters going out early, unfortunately, and definitely had some attrition with just that's Rockingham. You can't get away from it.
Yeah, for sure. I know. For me, it was kind of up and down all over the place. Didn't have a great qualifying effort, kind of similar where I think I was for the most part running around 30th. I mean, I had pace if I could maintain track position at certain times, but it was sometimes it's tough to get track position. And like maybe halfway through the race or so, Brandon Wengard tried to move the wall off of turn number 2, and I think he was going to stay up in the wall, and I think DJ Stagner might have got in the back of him, and he spun down across the track, or Brandon did after that, and I wasn't expecting it, and I just kind of hit him head on. So had some damage to repair, sat and repaired that, and was still on the lead lap, but I didn't take tires as to to try and maximize the time of repairing stuff on pit road. And then of course after we had like I think 3 or 4 cautions within maybe 25 laps or so, we went what was it, Jacob? You said it was like a 50 lap run or 60 lap
I
run
thought it
post
was
green
like,
flag.
I mean, that was my guess, but yeah, 50,
Yeah.
60 laps. I thought it was. I knew we were right before the point I was considering
Yeah.
like pit stops. So that's kind of
Yeah. So I pitted a little bit early because I was still on old tires from the previous run, and that's how I got trapped 2 laps down. Took a wave around at the caution, and then thankfully another caution came out again, and I was the lucky dog that time, and that's what I pretty much pitted at that point, and I think that was within 40 laps to go, and I just kept riding the track position out towards the end. So, but yeah, so definitely a few interesting moments for sure, but I think overall it was a pretty good race. And I think maybe we get a chance. You can either edit this out for Cal, or he can edit this out or not. But maybe we do take a chance and to mention some of the chaos that we saw, taking out some of those heavy hitters, like you guys kind of both mentioned. Obviously, we saw some contact between the 48 machine and the 27. I guess I didn't have a chance to go back through and look at any of the footage, but it looks like there was definitely some tempers boiling over, and I know it was Blake Gordon, and I can't remember the name of the 27 machine, but I know they
DeBarro.
DeBarro, yeah, Anthony DeBarro, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I know they got a little excited and spent some time trying to wreck
Yeah,
each other. It sounds like.
excited is a word you could use.
Yeah.
I have a few other adjectives I come up with, but um, yeah, look, I think everybody has been racing long enough to know that tempers will flare and stuff like that. But I think
Hmm.
um, this is a friendly reminder that those things can be handled off the track. I think the
Hmm.
unfortunate part about that really, um, is their final incident, um, which I'm actually surprised it only collected one extra person. It could have been a lot more, but I think when you take out innocent people along with your shenanigans, we'll call it, it's really unfortunate because it's not their fault, and it's something that can be completely avoided. So it's not something we really like to
Yeah.
see or really tolerate over here at Integrity. So it's something that we've kind of talked about, uh, and it's regardless of which series you run in, honestly. And regardless who thinks who's at fault or anything like that, I think that's just the kind of stuff that's got to stay off the track.
Yeah.
It's an extra caution we didn't need. We're trying to get in a rhythm. You take out Allen, in this case, Allen Roll, who's having a decent run actually.
Yeah. He
When they
was. Yeah.
start, he was in the top 20, which for him is good. So it's just unnecessary. I think is a good word to use for
Yeah.
events like that.
Yeah. And I know it's not something that we see all the time. I know some people tend to have you know a tougher time when you're in that moment, and frustrations can be pretty easy to boil over pretty quickly. I think for the most part, a lot of people that we race with, I mean, I've raced pretty respectfully with Blake over the years too, and I know I haven't had any time around Anthony, but I know for the most part, obviously we all get excited, but I think there still is a fair amount of respect there, and just sometimes you need that reminder of, yeah, that is another person behind this virtual race car and the steering wheel, and at the end of the day, just kind of got to talk it through, and it's okay to have those moments. Maybe at times, maybe the actions on track may be a little bit more egregious than necessary, but
Mhm.
always can settle that stuff outside of the sim. And it sounds like they did have a chance to do that, which is good. So hopefully that hatchet's been buried and we
Yeah,
can keep going forward.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you always hope that they can sell amongst themselves. And I say
Yeah.
for me, speaking as a driver too, I mean that's again like I mean we joke. I mean even earlier with my Daytona race was like me seeing me like make an aggressive move to try to win the race was shocking in itself. But yeah, you never. I mean, because it's gonna linger otherwise, and then you're gonna wind up not giving that person extra room. It's just gonna kind of build and build and build. And so yeah, so if they
Mhm.
can kind of take care of it themselves, it's always gonna wind up better because otherwise then the admins have to get involved. And I know one, it's never what you guys want to have to do in it, and then
No.
two, it usually is going to wind up worse than if the drivers settle amongst themselves. So like I said, I same thing, I didn't go back and look at it, but obviously both drivers weren't happy with how things went, and yeah, kind of escalated from there. So yeah, I mean that's it. I think a big thing goes a long ways too is you just take the deep breath, like, hey, look at it afterwards. Don't make any kind of rush judgments because we don't know. And so it's like you feel like something happened, you go back and look like, oh, like I've done that for sure before. Where it's like, why do you do
Sure.
it to me? And I look like, oh no, I was actually like either I moved way more than I thought I did,
Right.
and I didn't think I moved at all. And so yeah, so
Yeah.
I mean
Well,
it's yeah, it's part of the gig, but hopefully things get squared away.
yeah, and like I know I kind of turned myself off of the nose of, I think it was the O2 on the first race at Daytona, and in the moment it's you know you assume that it's not your fault, and you look back and it's maybe it's a racing call, a racing deal on both sides, and you just kind of gotta live with it and move on. But yeah, yeah, I think it was a good race for the most part at Rockingham. Obviously, we kind of already mentioned, I think, most of the top 10, but we'll list them off here. And obviously, Ethan Lane, we mentioned, picking up the win. Thomas Bressy coming in second. Matthew Thunhorst in third. Jacob couldn't do any better than fourth there at the end. Still, obviously, a great run for you, buddy. Michael Stroll came in with P5, Braxton DeWeese, Nick Terbuck, Rob Ackley, Tyler Hensley, and Don Stevenson, the whole top 10. So definitely, I mean, a lot of names that I would expect to see up there for sure. I think it makes it tough when you've got so many guys that are capable of being in the top 10 on a weekly basis. For me to have pulled out, I think it was a 16th place finish. That's for me, that's incredible, knowing that there are those names up there that are that good. But yeah, we'll keep rolling here. After 2 races, I know it's not that many, but we can start talking point standings a little bit. Matthew Thunhorse has probably been the most consistent. No win yet, but he's got that points lead with 83 points. Rob Ackley with 1 win is in second place with 82. Brad Patton with 77. Stroll with 76, and Don Stevenson with 74 in fifth place. Shane Ewing is next with 71, followed by Tyler Hensley, 1 point behind with 70. Mr. Fife there in 8th place with 68 points. 9th place Thomas Bressy, 67, and 10th place Timothy Johnston, with 65. Dropping down to 11th place, we got our buddy Gael Brooks with 62 points, Kevin McGarvey with 59 and 12th. Brandon Bernhardt and I are actually tied with 58 points in 13th. Then Braxton DeWeese in 15th place with 56, tied with Ethan Lane as well for 56. So give you guys a second. Are there any names in that top 16 other than myself and Gael that surprised you guys up there?
I wouldn't say I'm surprised, but I'm gonna say bonus points is a big one. Like I'm looking at some of the names like you look at Don Stevenson, hasn't had a bonus point yet so far this season, yet still sits 5th with 74 points. So, I mean, that just shows that Don's been there at the end when it's counted. So I mean, definitely a good job by him. Like I said, 2 top 10s, 1 top 5. So I mean, it's definitely a good way to start off the season. Then you look at drivers that had some troubles last week, like Tim Johnston getting caught up in that incident towards the end, and he's had 14 bonus points already, and then just above him, Bressy 15 already just in the 2 races. So really, really strong starts for those guys, and those bonus points are what have them still in that top 10 in points. So it's hard to come by. I know I'm again, that's part of why I stayed out, because I know these bonus points are hard to come by. So I was like, I'm just gonna get what I can here. But yeah, I think so. I'm gonna say results wise, it's kind of, to me, yeah, really impressive with some of those guys that don't have a ton, like Rob, Brad, and actually surprisingly Stroll as well. Just 1 point, 2 points, 1 point, and then like I said, the one for Don, or 0 for Don, 1 for Shane. Like, so yeah, those guys are just, they're getting it done when it counts at the end.
Yeah, and I know, like I'm only 4 points behind you. You've got 7 bonus points. I've got 0. I would be breaking the tiebreaker with Brandon, and would be tied with Kevin McGarvey if they didn't have, any bonus points. So I gotta work on that for sure. But Jacob's got 1 bonus point as well. Would be nice if you had 2. With you got 68 points there right now, but sitting
Yeah,
in
it'd be
8th
nice to get a
place.
little more there. It'd be a really nice points tally for him if so.
Yeah, if he had 1 extra bonus point there, but 8th is still pretty respectable for you, Jacob.
Yeah, we didn't have the best Daytonas. That's kind of, I think you see, I'm sure if you looked off screen too a little bit, you see a lot of guys who are still trying to get out of the hole of maybe their starting race or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how the next 2 weeks pan out. But I think Gael makes a really great point about the bonus points, man. That could really make or break whether you make the playoffs or not. And when you think
Mhm.
of how many competitive people that are in Monday night, for example,
Right.
um, being up front, which I'm apparently not very good at so far, um, is going to be important, and it may, you know, if that's your focus, having that strategy to be there mid race to start accruing those points,
Mhm.
um, might become more important than we realize. It's not something I usually think about, honestly.
Yeah.
You know, but for Rockingham, I don't think I had much. Um, much to do with that, even if I wanted to. I had a
Yeah.
really, I probably had a 10th or 15th place car, and just strategy really worked my way to 4th, to be perfectly honest. Um, so it's, having those points, because there's going to be people coming from behind who might not be on the list, or like if you take Ethan, for example, or Braxton seem
Right.
to be fairly fast. I think they're going to be working their way up the board. So it's all right. Well, how far can I stay ahead of those people? Terrabook might be another good example who I don't see here. Um, you know, just to keep keep floating, so to speak.
Yeah.
To try to
Yeah,
get
for
in the
sure.
playoff. Yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned there's a lot of guys, that aren't on what we've listed. Obviously, we pulled in the top 16 just to talk through tonight. But I mean, like, so Ethan Lane's at 56 points in 15th. If you look back to see every driver within 10 points of the cutoff, there's 8 more drivers in that. So Alex Daffin has 53, Blake Gordon has 53, Kevin Motz, Forrest Smith, and Nick Terbuck all have 51. Trevor
Yeah.
Trago has 50, Cody Griffin has 47, and Jonathan Gervin has 46. So, a couple more bonus points from those guys, and that might be, the difference between them getting in or not. I mean, it's such a tight field in that 10th to 30th place position, and I think the fact that we opened it up to 16 drivers for the championship to be eligible for the championship, I think is going to be really exciting to see because, I mean, they are absolutely on top of each other. I mean, if you look at from where you're at in 8th place, or maybe let's say Thomas Bressie in 9th place, there's 10, 15 drivers within 20 points of that, and
Yeah.
when there's guys like Bressie that have 15 bonus points and Timothy Johnson that have 14. And some guys that have none, that could be the difference between making it and not making that 16. So,
For sure.
yeah. Good deal. Well, enough point standings. We still have, well, we actually got 2 sets of brackets. We didn't really put a ton of information together for the Octane Series bracket, but I guess, Jacob, do you want to maybe touch on that real quick before we go into some of the stuff that we have for the Ignite bracket keyed up?
Yeah, for sure. So basically, for the Octane bracket that we have set up, it's the same but different. So 32 people be in the bracket. It is single elimination, unlike the guys for Ignite who do in a way double or the first round
We
is
kind of did, yeah,
basically
group, yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
exactly. So a little different in that respect, but otherwise, most everything's the same. What we decided to do um, with that bracket style, and Jay, what I say we, Jay decided to do. He's the one that does ours and pays everything out and all that fun stuff. Is basically take the top, I believe it was 18 guys from last year who returned, um, and put put them in the slots. Um, and then we kind of put in some guys who just got random draw, just kind of filled in the rest of the 32. But basically, it's going to be the same way. We'll start out at Daytona um, Tuesday night and cut the field in half basically, and then we go to Auto Club for the second week and just kind of work our way down. And I think our championship race is at Gateway for the
Okay.
first round, so it's going to be um, that's a very interesting track to have a championship race at
Sure.
for the for the bracket challenge there. So it's just unique. So just kind of looking at some of the matchups. There's for being a random draw, it's definitely some interesting combinations that I don't think some of them are new drivers, so you're not going to know who you're set up against.
Right.
Um, but there's definitely some interesting matchups there that should maybe have some upsets.
Yeah.
Um, and looking forward to get starting that. It's a fun thing to do, right?
Oh, yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and I think hopefully you guys starting it over at night have kind of obviously embraced it to begin with, but also just having fun with it, man, because
Yeah.
it's fun to do something different that not every league does, and that's kind of the whole point, right? So,
Right.
um,
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
go ahead. Yeah, you're good.
Oh, so yeah, no, I think it's been a lot of fun. Doesn't hurt that I've advanced 2 rounds in a row now myself, but I definitely think this is a really cool thing to do. I mean, we a lot of what we did to set up this series period, and a lot of what I really advocated for, and I know Cal did too, was just to give the mid pack something to play for. Because obviously
Yeah,
you've always got payouts for the top guys who are really fast, and I know Jacob, you're right there in those positions to be in the conversation for legit playoff or championship contentions. But not even Guile. Obviously, have experience winning in league settings in the past. But I know for the most part, you and I are somewhere between 10th to 30th, depending on how the week goes. And
Yep.
it's just something fun to do where you get a chance to play for something that isn't always available to you. And without something like this, or without the random finishers, or without 16 people getting into the playoffs, I just don't see where we'd have that much to play for. So, but it's been fun so far.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
real quick too. I think that's also like obviously a lot of you guys have come over to us here, Integrity, but I think that's a core aspect that we have here. I mean, it's hard to do. It's hard to find a fine balance between the obvious of we race to win, winners
Right.
get paid, that's or have reward, however you want to phrase that. But I think having stuff that Jay's done with the bracket, for example,
Oh yeah.
and other stuff, if people who are further down in the field, even if they don't make it to championship or whatever, just find success. Like I
Yeah.
won at this, for this round or whatever. I think it helps like want to come back each week because the, the whole thing, and I hope people understand this too, because I know some of us faster guys get a little cranky when we don't have every advantage apparently. But
Sure.
you, you don't have a league if you don't have people who are willing to show up every week and just have fun racing.
Right.
You just don't, because what happens is you have a full field like this, and people who don't think they're going to finish in the top 10 or whatever, they get disinterested and they leave and they don't come back. And we really try, and we're not perfect at it, but we really try to have things set up to where everybody wants to come back each week and enjoy racing with one another. That's the
Right.
goal above all else.
Yeah.
So hopefully doing stuff like this, and hopefully we'll have some other things we can come up with along those lines will really help in everybody enjoying their experience while they're racing with us here at Integrity.
Right. I mean, we've had full fields of 43 drivers, I think both weeks now in Ignite. And I mean,
Yeah.
we're going to be pretty close to that in Octane too, which is
Mhm.
exciting. I mean, we've had 48 unique drivers um, start either Daytona or
Right.
Rockingham, or both in Ignite. And you can't just, who that guy that's sitting 40th, 45th in points right now, like what keeps him coming back? Obviously there's some
Sure.
guys that are just crazy that, they don't have a ton of talent and love to just do it every week like myself, and they'd be back regardless, but not everyone's willing to, not everyone's willing to put in that time and be back there for a while, but
Yeah.
it's fun. But so yeah, so we had the second round of the Ignite bracket. We'll run through some of the winners in order of the bracket. And I can, if you need me to, I can share my screen, pull up just a quick screenshot of it for you guys to see too. It's a little small here on the screen, but we saw, so Michael Stroll edged out Rob Ackley. Cody Smith edged out. Well, Chad Cole did not show up, so Cody Smith got the automatic win. We saw Kevin McGarvey, maybe a little bit of an upset over Timothy Johnston. Don Stevenson lost by one spot to Tyler Hensley.
Yeah.
Chad Mikus beat Alan Dobbs by one spot in kind of a a crap show shootout. Obviously, I think both of those guys pretty much got entirely taken out by stuff that was well beyond their control. And then Brandon Bernhardt got basically, he didn't get sent, but there was a couple guys, I think the 76 of Justin Anderson and maybe it was the one car, but they made a little contact on the final lap, and Brandon Bernhardt sunk like a rock. I mean, he was running, he probably would have had a top 15, top 10, and then he got sunk all the way back to 25th, but thankfully, fortunately for him at least, he still edged out John Gervin by a couple spots. We kind of touched on what happened with Blake Gordon, but that was able to allowed me to get that round win over him, and then Daniel Foss beat out Don Runkle. So we mentioned Michael Stroll and Cody Smith both won. So on their side of the bracket, they're going to be going head to head, Stroll's got 6 starts, 4 top 5s, 6 top 10s, average finish of 5th, and average qualifying of 6.8 with a pole. Cody Smith has 11 league starts, 1 top 5, 4 top 10s, average finish of 14.7, and average qualifying of 14.4. Jacob, who do you think is going to take this one?
Yeah, I mean, Stroll's really good with the B car, so it'd be kind of hard not to go with him on this. But I got to support my guys on Tuesday night, so I'll probably roll with Cody. I think it's going to be really similar to how Rockingham went last week. If you're able to stay out of trouble, I predict cautions, especially if a full field again. Um, it's probably going to be the main factor whether any of these groups really move on beyond the next round. So yeah, I think it'll be a tight race. I know Ackley and Stroll had a very tight race up until the last few laps there last Monday, so I don't expect much different this week.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough still between the two of them, but I'm leaning towards Stroll on my side. Just I mean, I feel like I know he's always been quick from previous seasons with him in other leagues, but I don't know. It seems like he's really stepped it up a lot right off the bat here this season, putting laps in and all that too. I mean, I can't speak for what Cody's been doing, but I don't know. I think this one almost lit a little extra fire, if you will, under Stroll, where he's like you said, something else to kind of aim for. So I feel like Stroll might have the edge here, but yeah, like you said, this is gonna be another one of those potentials. Just you don't know. I mean, if you're in the right place, right time, right pit strategy, um, yeah, it's gonna be fun to see. But I think it's gonna be like I said, pretty similar to a Rockingham race. I think just
Yeah.
the way this track kind of lays itself out.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, there's reasons that Michael Stroll has won championships in big league settings before. He's got a lot of consistency and is able to find his way back to the front when issues arise. But I'd definitely probably be picking him unless he has some issues, because Cody Smith definitely has the capability of pulling that one out. But just with Stroll's consistency, I think he's going to take that one. So. Next up is Kevin McGarvey and Tyler Hensley. Obviously, I really only know Tyler just from running with him a couple years now in the leagues, and obviously he's one of our admins on Monday nights. He's got 9 league starts at Richmond, 2 top 5s, 6 top 10s, average finish of about 10, and an average qualifying of 7.4. And it looked like Kevin McGarvey had 0 league starts, so no information on Dan Lisa or Sim Racer Hub for that. Yeah, go ahead, Jacob. What's your pick?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go with Tyler on this one. Obviously, not much to really compare off of, and I don't know Kevin all that well, but um, I just I think Tyler, if he can find a rhythm, um, kind of like he did last week at Rockingham, that same type of run, get in the top 10, 15, I think it'll be a solid effort for him and something that should be able to advance him to the next round, I would imagine. But it's short track racing, man, so you never know.
I'm gonna say the unknown is the sneaky factor, and that's gonna be. I'm gonna say the unknown is gonna benefit Kevin here because, like I said, we don't know what he's got in store. But I mean, he's already been able to advance 2 rounds. I say he's sitting 12th in points with us over here. I mean, but then you look for Tyler. Tyler's up in 7th in points. So I mean, they both had good starts to the season. So obviously, it's only a two races to look at it, but honestly, again, bonus points are playing a big difference right now on that side. Kevin's got just the one bonus point. Tyler's got 9. Otherwise, they'd be a lot closer in points. So,
Right.
yeah, I'm gonna go for the unknown here. I'm gonna say Kevin's gonna make something happen here because he did.
Yeah.
So looking at the results here, yeah, he had a rough go at the end of Rockingham finishing 20th, but let's see I look forward to seeing what he's got for us.
Yeah, I know. Tyler and I have kind of had a similar MO where we're just kind of our own worst enemies sometimes. He's probably got a higher ceiling as far as talent than I do, but he definitely, can beat himself sometimes. If he doesn't, he's almost guaranteed to be top 10, top 15 in a league this deep. But I think I'll kind of a similar pick. I'll pick him. But if he runs into issues, I think Kevin McGarvey's still plenty plenty qualified to be there in case something happens to Tyler. So. All right, next up, Chad Mikas and Brandon Bernhardt. So Chad's got 6 league starts, 3 top 5s, 4 top 10s, average finish 7.3, average qualify of 10.8. Brandon Bernhardt, 8 league starts, 1 win, 4 top 5s, 6 top 10s, average finish of 7.9, and average qualify of 9.4. So pretty even stats there for both of those. Jacob, you want to go ahead and give a guess?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Chad on this one. I just in my time racing between each of them for that matter, but more especially Chad, I just feel like he seems to be a little more consistent
Mhm.
as far as finishing is concerned, and also just speed in general. Nothing against Brandon, obviously, but um, I think I would go with Chad. I think he could probably have a nice top 10 finish Monday night if the cards play right. I think that'll be enough to get him to the next round.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly it's the cards playing right because, like I said, it's like ability wise. I mean, Chad's right there all the time. But then I'm looking at, I was like, well, where's he in the standings here? And he's 35th in points because of just such bad luck in these first 2 races. Having the incident at Rockingham and obviously having some sort of issue at Daytona. I can't remember, we were joking earlier about I can't remember what we had for dinner last night, but yeah, I can't remember what happened to him at Daytona. But then I look for Brandon, and he's 13th in points. So it's like he's having a good start to the season. So like I said, stats wise, yeah, I mean it's pretty close between the two of them. But I'll give the edge to Brandon just because he's having the better season thus far. And saying sometimes when things kind of keep going well, maybe he's found that nice little kind of pocket of where he runs well and stays out of the trouble. And I mean, Chad, like I said, Chad's had pace, but he just found himself in the wrong place at the wrong time so far in these opening 2. So I'll give the edge to Brandon on that one.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it really is a toss up. I think Chad's shown more pace at times than Brandon. I think Brandon's really improved his qualifying efforts. I think we mentioned that last week too, but he's really improved his qualifying efforts. And before he may have a better long run speed where, if he starts in the back, he kind of tends to move forward versus, if he qualifies really well, he's probably more likely to fall back a little bit. But I mean, he had a great run, Brandon did at Richmond. That really pretty much almost exclusively got taken away in the final lap and a half or so. But I mean, he still obviously had a great race at Daytona. And Chad, on the flip side, has had some very bad luck within the last probably year or more in league racing, and it's unfortunate because I mean, he's still very consistent himself. He's got a lot of talent, a lot of pace. So it's definitely going to be an interesting one. I think Chad takes it just from the standpoint that I'd definitely give Chad the edge as far as pace and qualifying speed goes. Even though I know Brandon's definitely had a much better season and has shown more consistency this season, but I think Chad's going to get back on the horse, and Cowboys going to finish ahead of Brandon there. So,
I
all
would say
right.
that was some cowboy shit stuff you just pulled right there. Well
Yeah,
done, sir.
yeah, that's been one of his mottos for a long time. Chad is cowboy shit, so he's have fun with that. So. All right. Last matchup will be myself and Daniel Foss. I've got 2 league starts, 1 top 5, 1 top 10. Average finish of 9.5, average qualifying of 10th. And Daniel Foss has 0 league starts. So it's okay if you guys don't both pick me. I picked myself. I was the only one last week, and I won. So I don't need the validation. But I'll let you make picks anyway.
My name's Boomer, and I bet on myself.
Hey, Cal. Welcome back. Hey, nobody picked me, and I still, other than me. So, sometimes you gotta bet on yourself.
So what I'm hearing is you actually don't want us to pick you because you think we're the
But
defeated.
yeah, so you got to keep the trend.
Oh, in
That's
that
Yeah,
case, I
that's what I'm
definitely pick
hearing.
Boomer. Then I definitely pick
Yeah,
you.
I need that chip on my shoulder, I guess. Yeah.
yeah. No, you know what? I will go with you this week, Boomer. So don't make me regret it. No, I think I haven't raced much with Daniel. That's the main reason why.
Mhm.
I do think I do remember he had a tire strategy call earlier in the race Monday night that was different. Probably not one I would have gone with in that particular situation, but I think if done correctly, could put him in good position. But um, I think you're a little bit more consistent. We'll roll with you for tomorrow night.
Cool. I appreciate it. Gael?
I mean, with all the smack talk that Daniel's been giving me back and forth, I feel like I have to vote against him just because of that. But I don't know. I've also been the opposite of you two so far. So I mean, if I'm going to continue the trend, I'd say I have to go with Daniel. But you're right though. I'm saying, and again, you look at the points and the stats and everything like that, and like I said, you're sitting right there with me up in 13th in points. Daniel's not had a good run so far. He's back in 39th in points again, just with the bad luck. So, but the question is, though, I mean, I was saying at this point, I think I'm deciding more of like if I'm gonna wind up jinxing one of the two of you if I choose you. So I think that's where it's at right now. So I think just to rib Daniel a little bit, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pick on him. So I'll choose Daniel to advance over you. That way I can continue your disrespect.
All right.
But yeah, again, it's just all like I said. I mean, you had a really good recovery from Rockingham last week after kind of going down those couple laps too. And obviously, I mean, yes, there was the other issues that eliminated your competition, but against Daniel, I mean, it could be one of those things where you had to make that rebound and have a chance at it regardless. So I think that's going to be the big key is having the right strategy once again. Because unfortunately, you didn't have it at Rockingham, but recovered really, really well there.
Yeah. Appreciate it, man.
Mhm.
Go for it, Cal.
So when I see this matchup, for some odd reason, I start hearing this old Destiny's Child song in my head. Survivor. That's what Daniel Fass is to me. I swear to God, that guy, he makes it through his fair share of wrecks, and the ones that he gets involved in, he just keeps on trucking. He'll get enough damage fixed to just pedal around and pick up spots. And Boomer, I've been on not only sharing the track but with you in the same portion of the track numerous times, and have watched you be on the wrong end of splash damage or being collateral damage from an accident. Not to say that I'm foreshadowing anything, but I could very easily see that happening once again tomorrow night. So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say my pick, but my guess is gonna be that Daniel's gonna come out with the W on this one.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I genuinely think this is probably the most even matchup I've had so far. Obviously, last week I mentioned it was going to take something to happen to Blake for me to move on, and fortunately for me, for me as a racer, I've kind of separated those. For me as a racer, obviously, fortunately, something happened. For me as an admin, maybe not so fortunate what happened, but definitely going to be, I think, a good matchup. I think, I think most of these are pretty even, honestly, for what we have left. So I'm going to pick myself just because I feel like, you've mentioned Daniel's had the struggles so far, and I will say I really do enjoy Richmond, and feel like that's probably a stronger track for me than for a short track than Rockingham was. So hopefully I could pull it off again. It would be really cool if I could make it to the final four, but it's going to be a good battle regardless, and I'm looking forward to it. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Do you want to take the reins, Cal?
Sure. So I'm gonna kind of put Gael on the spot here, seeing as how as I look through Dan Lisa, jeez, I need to get out of the habit of saying that. Looking at Sim Racer Hub, there goes our sponsorship opportunity. So Gael, you've got 13 career starts according to Sim Racer Hub, dating back all the way to 2018 at Richmond International Raceway. Seems like you'd be at least somewhat qualified to talk to us about the track and maybe some key features of the circuit and maybe some things to look out for as we're getting ready for our race tomorrow night. Looks like we're gonna have what's the racing, the trying to pull up the, oh boy, what am I trying to say, the schedule. We're looking at 150 laps for the Pro Powder and Paint 150. What do you got for us?
It's a tough one. I say it's I mean it's a really fun track when you can get it right. For me, unfortunately, that's less often than I'd like it to be. But to me, I mean, I feel like there's the obviously the two key spots is attitude and the exit of 4, because attitude, obviously if you hit the exit wrong, you're gonna usually more often than not kind of wash out up into that wall, because it just feels like it's literally like curving back into the track. But then same thing out of 4 though, you got to be real easy. Like you just want to mat it as soon as you kind of get halfway straight, but a lot of times, especially once you get some tire wear, it's gonna eat that right rear, and so it's gonna be fun to see kind of who's able to manage the right front versus the right rear. So I think you're gonna see a little bit of both again, like we did at Rockingham. You could burn up the right front, you can burn up the right rear. Just really depends on how you drive it. And to me, turn one at turn one at Richmond is probably one of the most difficult turns for me to get comfortable with, because you're already turning in, like you're already making that left as you're trying to get on the brakes, and you obviously want to make sure it's not too much forward brakes. You're just going to lock up the fronts, too much rear brakes, and try to kick out the back. So there's a lot of finesse, I feel like is the word that you need at Richmond, be it throttle, be it brake, and even just the steering input. So yeah, so it's a really, really challenging track. That's why I think why it's so much fun for fans to watch when the pros do it over there. So yeah, I say unfortunately it's not been a strong one for me. I'm not much of a flatter track guy. Like I like the extra banking like Rockingham provided. But yeah, no, the guys that are good at short tracks, they will definitely be in their wheelhouse. So yeah, the ones who are good at like the Martinsvilles, the Phoenixes, things, the short tracks like that, I would expect to see them in their wheelhouse here at Richmond tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I know at least it tends to be one of the tracks where you really got to get into a rhythm, and it's not like quite like Bristol or some of the heavy braking zone track, short tracks where like you kind of have to trailer brake a little bit more, or kind of lead into the throttle a little bit more. I mean, you got to be patient on the throttle everywhere, but I think anywhere that trail braking is helpful, or is a better strategy, that definitely helps me, and I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, no, I can remember when I used to like run NASCAR Thunder on the PlayStation way back when. Um, Richmond used to be my favorite track. Not just because it was a track that I was always, gonna win at and felt really comfortable at, but it just for some reason I just got into a rhythm and a flow there really quickly. Of course, playing on a controller is completely different than playing on a wheel and pedal. So when I jump into iRacing and for the first couple times I was at Richmond, I'm like, oh man, I love this place. And then I was like, oh, I'm in for a rude awakening. I'm not playing with a joystick anymore. This is different. But even over time, I've gotten to kind of fall back in love with the track, and it's I always have fun coming back to Richmond for sure. Um, Guile, to your point about the brake bias setup, that's something that we would have obviously want to encourage all of our league members tomorrow night. Like, make sure you get a couple laps in, play with the brake bias, see where you want it, make sure you can feel confident getting on the brakes going into one. Because like you were saying, that the entire front straight is not a straight; it's a curve. And so your wheels are already pointed before you even get on the brakes to start with, so it can cause some serious problems, especially if someone tries to dive bomb into one. So I'm sure turn one and maybe even going into turn two will have its fair share of cautions tomorrow night. Hopefully, we keep our noses clean though. All right, and that's been a little bit of a preview for Ignite, and we've really only talked about Ignite so far in this show, but with the league or the season opener for the Octane series coming around the corner here in I think just under 2 days. Wanted to give Jacob a chance to kind of give us a little preview of the field and of the season opener at Daytona.
Yeah, we finally made it.
Looks like we
You guys,
made it.
yeah, you guys have had some fun for what'll be 3 weeks now by the time we get going. So we wanted to jump in on the fun as well. Well, obviously, as every league known to man, I think, at least it does NASCAR anyway, does. Um, Going to start at Daytona here Tuesday night. Have a nice mix of drivers showing up. Uh, for that, we've got some guys who've been here for forever, like myself. Got some new guys showing up to be a part of the series on Tuesday nights with the next gen car. So we're really looking forward to that. Gonna be an interesting race, I think. The next gen car, even at a super speedway, which seems odd to say, is really kind of a little bit hard to hang on to. We did our recruitment race, not a recruitment race, excuse me, our media day a couple weeks ago now, and was not what I was expecting when you're in a pack. just how much the car moves around, how much you're trying to hang on to it, um, to just make laps at what it felt like at times, honestly. So you have to be really careful on how you make moves, and hopefully our group will kind of be on our toes a little bit with that as the run progresses. But really looking forward to it. It's kind of the exciting part of the year. We get things kicked off. Everybody kind of has a fresh slate, and we're pretty good. Hopefully, if everybody shows up, we'll be pretty darn close to a full field, if not having one when we get rolling Tuesday. So we're looking forward to that, and obviously, being broadcast by FTN and some of the stuff we're doing this year certainly helps enhance the excitement. So looking forward to get started with the year. Should be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Any preliminary picks for Daytona? Anyone that you feel
Oh
like has
man,
got a pretty good shot at being at least in the hunt at the very end?
in the hunt.
Won't,
Not
won't,
really.
won't,
It's
won't
like
make you
draft.
go out. Won't make you go out on a limb and pick a winner, but
So, well, here's what I'll say, and y'all will find this funny, but the last 3 years, the person who's won Daytona has never showed up for another race for the rest
oh
of the season.
no.
So I'm going to predict that that's not going to happen this year. Um, so it's been a running joke of ours the past few years. We realized it the year before last, and it's continued to happen for whatever reason. Because it just it kind of goes back to the guys who did that. Obviously, were newer guys, and for whatever reason, didn't come back, or yeah, you never know. But it's anybody's game. That's kind of the point, right?
hmm
So I really don't know a favorite. Um yeah, I have no idea. It's going to be a crapshoot. It's going to be an interesting race. If I had to guess, probably somebody like Ethan or Tara Buck or somebody like that would probably have a good chance. But it's literally going to be anybody. We'll see who survives, and
Who
then maybe
survives?
you can
Absolutely.
and narrow it down from there.
All right. Now, bonus round question.
Mhm.
Who do you think is going to walk away with the title when we get all the way back to, or all the way around the calendar to November?
Oh
That
dang.
might that might actually be better to predict than trying to predict who wins Tuesday. To be honest. Um, No, I mean, I think Ethan's going to have a really good shot. I think his biggest thing is to some extent not getting in his own way. If I'm being perfectly honest, I think he's probably faster than most anybody on track every week. So as long as he doesn't get himself caught in stuff or uh, get people pissed off at him because for whatever reason, he'll be very hard to beat as far as championship goes. Um, but I will say that you've got guys. Cody won last year the championship. He'll be very hard to beat again this year. Nick Tarabuck um, really was on fire the first half of our last season when we ran the next gen car. I don't expect that to change too much. Um, so I think those or those three, excuse me, specifically, I think will be um, more than likely three of your top four, if I had to guess. And whoever that fourth person is probably um, you could probably pick 10 different people, and you probably have a decent guess at who the fourth person is going to be. So those are my guesses on that one.
Fair enough. Well, thanks for the insight. We're looking forward to seeing another great broadcast on FTN for the Octane series as well. And
Yeah.
so far, it's been a there's been some great broadcasts already. We're only 2 weeks into the Ignite series, so I'm looking forward to seeing even more content out of those guys covering our races. They've been fantastic to work with so far, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of it.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as we wind down this episode, Boomer, why don't you go ahead and give us a quick little blurb about how the 10 questions article was this week, and maybe a preview for
Sure.
next time.
Yeah, so we had a little bit of a schedule change. We were gonna have Tom Wetmore, but didn't realize he was on vacation this past week, so we swapped in Jay Heishman. Thankfully, he was able to get the interview in time for this weekend on short notice. So appreciate him lending his personal experience and a bunch of personal really just his personal experiences on the sim and outside of the sim and getting to know him a little bit better shine through this weekend. So it's a lot of fun to do these interviews. So obviously he's kind of the keeper of the bracket on Tuesday nights. So it'll be fun to see that and see him kick off his season this week. So get a chance. It's 10 questions with Boomer, no spaces, no caps. .wordpress.com. I know we post the articles just about everywhere as far as the inside the league goes, but try to get the word out and share those as much as possible. We're still kind of making our way through the admins here at the Octane and Ignite series, so flipping back and forth. So next week we will have Tyler Hensley, will be our third Monday night Ignite series admin interview. And then Tom Wetmore will be in 2 weeks, so we'll get him back on the schedule. So, yeah, a lot of fun doing those, and appreciate everyone having the chance to fill those out and share a little bit about themselves, even if it's not a very thorough interview process. It's definitely a lot of fun to put together, and appreciate everyone opening up and sharing and letting us get to know them better. So
Yeah, absolutely. And Boomer, I love what you've done with this. I mean, you've been working on this, I think, for well over a year now, stretching back to the last league we were at, and it's fun getting to read these little pieces. I mean, it probably takes you 5 to 10 minutes to get through an article each week. It doesn't take a whole lot of
yeah.
your time, but you get to learn something about somebody that you're used to rubbing elbows with on track, maybe
Oh yeah.
trading a little bit of paint with, and getting to see a little bit more into the inside of their life, and what brought them to iRacing in the first place. So.
Yeah.
Really, really cool what you've been doing. I always look forward to the next issue.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. One more piece of business here while we've got some ears hopefully still listening. Um, Keep an eye out for a special announcement coming from the boss man Jacob 5 later this week. Could be as early as before this video comes out even. But got a cool development for the league that we're very eager to share with all of you guys. But that will be announced on all of our social medias here within the next week. And apart from that, any last words from any of you guys?
No, just looking forward to kicking off the season for the Octane guys, and obviously everybody in the Ignite series has got good momentum going with how that's going, and looking forward to tomorrow night in Richmond. Should be a fun race.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All I have to say is that the Ignite series is good, and woo NASCAR.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Yeah, no, same here. Looking forward to the finish up the season, or not finish up the season. Sorry, keep the season going. I should say. I say obviously the regular season of NASCAR's up and running. So yeah, so it's gonna be fun, and looking forward to Richmond's gonna be a challenging one. We'll have to see how that one shakes out, but yeah, I'll say looking forward to the challenge though for sure.
Absolutely. Well, from all of us here on the panel today, this has been the Fill Up episode 3. Now let's get back on the road. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.